All right. Well, thanks for being with us this morning. We're going to hit some horticulture topics today, and we're really excited to get to hear about your programs and get to share a little bit with our other agents, and we will record this as well, so we can have that recording and probably share that with new agents and all that kind of thing. So Rob Holland told me he's hoping to hop on for a little while, in just a little while. He wasn't able to get on right at 9:30. He said not to introduce him, he just was looking forward to getting to hear what some of you have going on. So anyways, I was excited about that. So I'm going to share my screen just a second, and we've had at least one update since I sent that list of presenters out. So let me show you what we've got this morning. Here's our list. I went by alphabetical order by last name the first session, so I switched up and have alphabetical order by first name this time. We'll probably go alphabetical by county in our next session, but y'all are welcome to join us for any of these sessions, as many as you want this month. And of course, we asked everybody to sign up for one to be able to share a little bit. So thank you for putting that time in and developing your short presentation. If you saw my email yesterday, we do have a pretty big group with 13 presenting. So if you want to keep your presentation between 3 to 5 minutes, that's just fine. If you need all 7 minutes, we'll let you have it. So I think we'll be able to finish up in a 2-hour time frame. And if you are just ready to roll as soon as you finish, if you'll stop sharing your screen while we're in transition, we'll have a few minutes for anybody to ask some questions or have some follow-up. We can do that through the chat also. So if you want to have some conversations in the chat, please go for it. And then as soon as one person stops sharing theirs, we'll let the next presenter jump right on. If it would help you to take a picture of that screen to see the order, feel free to grab a photo of that with your smartphone if that helps you stay on track. The one person we're going to miss today is Whitney, and I think she's at the doctor, so keep her in mind. Hope everything's all right, going well for her. So anyways, I'm going to unshare, and Adam Watson, Washington County, it looks like you're up next.
All righty.
I can find my button. There we go. All right, Adam.
Okay. And of course, I'm going to ask, are you seeing the correct view?
Looks really good.
Okay.
Perfect.
So short and sweet was requested, so I'll do my best to make that happen for you. One thing to keep in mind with me is I was on the job less than a year when COVID arrived. So certainly there's some programming areas that haven't developed the way I would like, and certainly changes made like everybody did in response to COVID. And one of those was gardening classes. And so this is something that, when I came on board, we did a needs assessment. And one of the things I found is there was a little bit of interest in like a master gardener class, but not a tremendous amount. When I actually started talking with the people that had some interest, what I found is they really weren't looking for the whole experience of master gardeners, where it's the education and also the volunteering. They really just wanted the education side. They wanted the opportunity to learn more about gardening. So to that end, I really focused on starting doing some classes last year, late winter, early spring, and of course then COVID arrived. I don't promote these as a set formal series. I just kind of push them all out. In my mind, they are kind of a series, but formally and publicly, I don't present it that. So everybody has to register for each class individually. I started these as in-person events, but then with COVID, switched to webinars. I get the word out about these through my nearly monthly newsletter. I do about 10 issues a year with that. We also do a twice annual ag newsletter out of the office, myself and Anthony. And then Facebook. And I also need to mention, appreciate Chris Mackey. I know he has shared some of my classes with his folks. So I do appreciate other agents that push this opportunity out to others. I think I've had success with these classes. I'm moving to the webinar format. Basically, I've had anywhere from as few as 15 to as many as 120 in some of these. So around 50 to 40 is a good average number for these classes, but some either miss the mark in topic or some are really popular. I don't feel that, doing a webinar is as good as being an in-person class, having some hands-on activity. But of course, with COVID, I think everybody's adapting as best they can. One thing that I really think has done well with these is this has really allowed me to grow my newsletter base. So basically, when I started, we didn't have a horticulture focused newsletter list. So I went from 0 to over 800 at this point. And a lot of that growth has come from the registration of these classes. So one of the questions I have on there, along with the demographic info, so it can help with our numbers, is, do you want to sign up for our newsletter? And so that way I've really grown that. And hopefully, especially since it's somebody who has attended, one of our webinars, they're interested in future ones. So I do see a lot of repeat customers. I also use Facebook, and I think fairly effectively, because we have some of our Facebook events, specifically these webinars, that reach 39,000 people. And to put that in context, we only have a little over 1,700 followers on our page. So this isn't just preaching to the choir. This isn't just folks that are familiar with us and following us. It's getting a broader reach out there across Facebook, and that too has helped just grow awareness of what we do. We do, and especially this year, I'm being very diligent about posting the recorded webinars onto YouTube. I've not gone viral yet, which I assume is a good thing. I think if anything I'm doing goes viral, we've got a problem. But we are getting views. So you can see there, planning your vegetable garden class that I did last week already has 49 views. That's in part because typically I see 50% or less of the actual registrants show up for the class. And I know I do the same thing with webinars. If it's something I think I might be interested, I'll register just so I can get a recorded link or the resources they share later, even if it doesn't work for my schedule. So I do think if you're going to be doing webinars, having the ability to post those online and making them available is useful. I think you will see some traffic from it. Not that it's going to change, the way you're delivering things, but I think it's additional numbers that can be captured. I do send an email to all the registrants, not just the folks that attend, that has links to the resources I used in creating the PowerPoints, a copy of the slides, a link to our YouTube channel or the video itself if I've already got it uploaded and done, and then as well as a survey for evaluation purposes. But I also ask specifically if there are any additional topics they're interested in or comments. And very early on, before I think everybody was used to, the new normal of not in person, I had several comments, more than one, where people were thanking me for having an online option. Because they were, in one I remember specifically, they said they watched their grandchildren in the evenings, and they said, I can't come to a class. It's not easy for me to do that. And so they really appreciated having the online option. So hopefully when we can more easily do in-person events, I'm still going to try to do something online at the same time. So be on Zoom or Facebook Live or something at the same time, so that those people who maybe can't travel out for whatever commitment reasons still have an option to participate in that class. And certainly that would give me the option then to still post to YouTube. So I think there's some value there. Upcoming, in the next couple of months, I'm collaborating with our FCS agent. We're doing a garden to table series where I'll be talking about the growing gardening side of these topics, and she's talking about using them in the kitchen. So it's something like this is a great way to collaborate with others in your office, and it's a great way for you to get in front of maybe a group of people that you wouldn't ordinarily be in front of. So certainly I enjoy collaborating with Elizabeth and look forward to that. And that is actually all I have prepared. Certainly, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
We did have a question in the text chat. Did you see that?
I do. So I don't charge anything for these classes. It's just, especially since I'm not buying hands-on material or anything like that, I just have these classes as free because, again, I want it to be as broadly reachable to everyone as possible. So I do not charge anything for these.
And just a heads up, I don't see Chris Mackey in here. So Evangelina, if you want to go ahead and get yours ready. Adam, I've got another question. What do you call your newsletter?
The Trusty Trowel. I thought about calling it the rusty hoe, but I thought that might have negative connotations, so I didn't go that direction.
Sounds good. And a lot of us are doing these horticulture newsletters, and I'm sure that if you've already got 800 subscribers, you wouldn't mind having a few more if some agents wanted to get on that list. So email Adam if you want to join, and we can all share information and work smarter, not harder, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you, Adam. That was really cool to hear about. And I guess I'll jump into my slides that I have. So everyone, I'm Evangeline James, if you have not met me in person or virtually yet, and I have the pleasure of working with the Bradley County Master Gardeners. So the first thing that I would like to touch on is actually a cross-county partnership that I have with Tom Stebbins. It's been so cool working with him because he has so much experience, and I just started, like Adam had mentioned, I was about 6 months into the job when COVID hit. So it's been really cool working with Tom and getting some mentorship. But anyway, so we have our garden guest series. We do this once a week on Wednesdays at noon. It's via Zoom, and there's registration for that. But we also simultaneously post this and stream it live onto Facebook. It's been really cool watching it grow. Initially, we had around 12 to 19 participants live, and I was kind of like, oh boy, is this going to catch? Is it not? But now we're to the point where we have an average of 60 to 75 participants live, and then post session, it's pretty cool. Some of our videos have caught around 200 to 400 views afterwards. I think our potato, prepping your garden for potatoes and caring for them, I think that video got around 450 afterwards. So that's really cool to see people interested in learning. We discussed different topics, like for instance, hey Seth, shout out to Seth. He came on and he discussed Tennessee spiders with us. We had one of my master gardeners present on seed preservation, and then we had the wonderful Celeste Scott come on and discuss pruning with us. And that was one of my favorite episodes because she kind of took it to the next level and took us outside on her property and pruned right in front of us virtually her trees. And it was pretty, I guess, as hands-on as you could get through Zoom. So anyways, that's been a joy to do and to work with Tom. I really like cross-state partnerships. We had actually my good friend Tia, she is a Florida-friendly agent in Orange County, and she came on as well. So I like having cross-state, cross-county type things going on, and Tom does as well. So in Bradley County itself, our master gardeners like to be kind of spread out in the community in terms of restoration and beautification projects. Two I'll briefly touch on. So to the right, you see this lovely planter container, and this is one of my favorite outdoor beautification projects we have because it's right in downtown, right in the main strip. You see these planters in front of local stores and businesses. Obviously, this photo was taken at a time when things were a little more sunny, but but we have them year round going, and they're actually as soon as we get rid of this last freeze, we're gonna freshen up the beds and the planters. But so that's kind of a nice beautification project. And then to the left, this is a photo of Taylor Springs. This project has been going on with the county for over a year now. It's been underway, and it was this park in the spring that was abandoned and neglected, and people got together and said, hey, we want to, freshen it up, and we want to rebuild it. We want this to be a place where people can come and walk and spend time with their families, enjoy themselves. And thanks to one of our master gardeners, she got us in there and she got us involved. So we were able to help prep the park for the grand opening, and we did the landscaping, and we were able to kind of whisper in their ear a little bit and say, hey, these plants do better than these, and this is more sustainable and whatnot. So here's our master gardener president, and actually my master gardener class coordinator, Linda Merritt, working together on a sunny day to get this going. And then another fun event that we recently had was, so a few months ago, we had a seed and plant swap. And it went so well that everybody was like, we want to do this again. So I just wanted to highlight this because, in a time where there's a lot of social distancing and a lot of virtual meetings, I just know that myself and the members in our county really appreciated being able to get out and about, get some fresh air, see one another, and discuss what they love most in person, which is plants and seeds. And it was really cool having people tell me about the new plants that they got for their garden. And you can just, everyone's really excited for spring. So anyways, this was held at our local farmers market property in the show barn. So that was super cool. It was kind of a come and go thing. And throughout the day, we had 50 people total come in and come out. So that was really great. Sometimes I think it's good just to do things for the group. Like, of course, we want to do things for the county and to educate, but I do think it's important to remember that these are volunteers, and it's good to give them fun and engaging and opportunities as well. And speaking of farmers market, the last thing I'll touch on, because I know if I don't watch myself, I might just go way over the time limit here, so I'm trying to keep it brief. So this is kind of looking more so at current and future projects that we have underway. So our farmers market is on the same property and location as our local county cannery. And that is free to Bradley County residents. They can come and make soups and can apples and all sorts of fun things. So basically, you know, as Adam has mentioned, programming didn't go exactly how all of us had hoped. And I'm sure we can all relate to this, especially in the first year or in my first year and with COVID coming. So the farmers market year one for me was more so just like, how can we pivot and make things appropriate with COVID standards and CDC guidelines. But now that it's been a year, I'm excited to kind of tackle this and really help with the Master Gardeners put some life into it and kind of take it to the next level a little bit. So anyways, in the upper right-hand corner, you can see our Master Gardener president and some other volunteers working to make a demo compost bin. That was a really fun little project with everybody, and it's right next to the cannery. So as people walk in the doors, they have to walk by this demo bin with signs about Master Gardeners and letting people know what is a compost bin, how does it work, and the cannery actually is able to take their scraps and put them in the compost bin. So we're able to kind of help them alleviate some of their excess things that they have. Of course, to the left, as we're doing this project, we have to make a video about it and educate along the way. So we were able to not only make the compost bin, but also make a little video, post it on Facebook and on YouTube. And then we are undergoing making a herb garden to the right of the compost bin. So, and then our other project that we have for the farmers market is we are working on a trail. So there's a lot of brush right to the side of the cannery and the farmers market. So we have a committee put together and a chairperson, and we're working on making a little mini trail that will be right next to the farmers market. So my vision is kind of like people can go to the market, they can see the compost bin, the herb garden, maybe while their apples are processing from the local orchard, they can go for a walk on the cannery trail. And we're just trying to kind of make this educational, family-oriented, a good, nice day out for people. We're working on creating a second Saturday at the market where we're going to highlight some of the local university students' art, and just there's a few things going on that I and other members of the group are very excited about. So hopefully the next time we do something like this, I'm able to share some of the results that we have from it. But that is what I have.
Thanks, Evangeline. Any questions? A lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, with the farmers market trail, I guess how have you got started with that? Like, what kind of areas have you gone for funding, or I guess you have Master Gardeners volunteering, but kind of how have you got started?
Yeah, so this is super fresh. So one thing we did was we just was like, who's interested? We put a committee together, and we have 2 chair people, and thankfully those 2 are very passionate about hiking, and they've hiked in like South America and like different countries. In terms of extra help, I have reached out to the Boys and Girls Club because there's a gentleman there who runs the summer camp and educational outreaches, and he had mentioned to me that they built trails on their property. And ironically enough, I was there because I was helping him get beekeepers involved with his educational program. And I was like, maybe this could work out. So I asked him, and he said he was happy if we ever needed help for a day or so because he has equipment. we haven't reached the point yet of looking for funding. So far, it's just kind of been word of mouth, prepping, scouting out the land, talking with each other. And again, I don't want to sound like I know more than I do, because this is so new in the beginning of the process. We have the group put together and the chair people, and but we don't have a blueprint or anything. I wish I had better answers for you.
No, that works. Thanks.
Mhm.
All right, well, looks like we're ready for Greg Paxton from Polk County to share with us, and he's right on cue. There you go, Greg. But we're not hearing anything.
Now, what about it?
Gotcha. Loud and clear.
Got to click two buttons. See, that threw me. All right. My name is Greg Paxton. I'm down in Polk County. I threw a map up there to kind of let folks know where Polk County is. I know we had a few new folks on today, but to kind of get started here, we're in a small rural county, and my ag program, my plan program is in residential and consumer horticulture, like a lot of you all. And what I have is something that I termed several years ago as a Tennessee Great Garden Experience. And it's basically kind of focused on new gardeners. We have several folks that move in, kind of retirement age folks that really have a lot of questions when they come in, about Tennessee soils, what grows here, a lot of questions like that. So we kind of tried to, get with those folks to try to help them in their new gardening experience. So, and then we also have a community and demonstration garden that we've established here at the Extension office that I wanted to highlight. So basically with our Tennessee Great Garden Experience classes, we try to go over just the basics of planning and preparing for a garden. We both look at traditional and raised beds. We've got some folks that, want to go the organic route and grow organically. So we try to mix it up and try to answer as many questions for those folks coming in. Of course, the insect disease control, and then they'll always have a class or folks that takes a class that starts having lawn questions or tree questions. So sometimes we have thrown in a class with those topics in there as well, or try to give that information. And we've tried to partner. I know I've had Tom up to conduct the insect and disease control part of the class, before. We try to incorporate, and use some master gardeners from nearby Bradley County sometimes, and we borrow some of your folks. And then we'll try to take some field trips. Back before COVID, we went out pretty much every year. We tried to find a garden center to go to, and those folks kind of helped and prepared, and the photo there is actually doing a fall window box garden class that we did. So we tried to mix some things in there away from basically vegetables into some decorative type things there that folks like to get into the garden as well. Our community and demonstration garden is something that's kind of happened over the last 2 years. We partner with the West Polk Library, which is right next to our extension office building. And we have some folks that wanted to volunteer their time. We had actually had a raised bed. We had done, for a couple of years, we had done the straw bale gardening here at the extension office. And I'd done a couple of classes on those and had a lot of interest in those. And that kind of led to some of the folks at the library that was kind of helping us with that, wanting to kind of expand that, and it was always a kind of a plan of mine too, that I would like to have something to demonstrate some of the things we talk about. And you can have a PowerPoint, you can talk about it all day, but when they lay eyes on it, they finally get the aha moment. So basically, partnering with West Polk Library, we created 4 raised beds, and this was last year during COVID that we constructed these. Throughout the first few months there of trying to social distance and some folks working, and then the next folks would come in and try to do something, and then we'd try to get on the phone and talk to each other what we were going to do next. But we created 4 raised beds here at the extension office, and it basically provides a live demonstration for clients. You have those folks that come in and they have a question, and it's just really good to take them out the back door now and say, okay, we were talking about this. This is what we're talking about. You know, they're able to see the raised bed, they're to see some of the practices that we talk about. We did, on the community garden side, we did harvest the produce last year, and the ladies from the library actually harvest that, and then they would take it over to the library and basically donate it to the library patrons. We thought about the food bank. It's just that we weren't growing enough produce to really get into that situation. And the food bank, you know, if they don't have enough for everyone, they don't really want to bring in that problem there. So we did donate all that to the library patrons. Here's some photos of our raised beds. Pretty much everything we had last year was donated. The materials that we needed, the folks that we helped with the work with the library there had material to donate. So we kind of took an area in the back of the building. The background there, we did a 4x8 raised bed. In the foreground, we did a 4x4 ADA raised bed. So it's up off the ground. It's right next to the sidewalk. And it allows someone that may have some difficulty getting around to actually just go out the sidewalk, and they can go right to the garden there and see what's going on and see some of the practices. And this is when we were first started. To the on the left photo there on the right side there, that's where we had some of our straw bale gardening going on. And the right photo shows that a couple of years ago. But we also did a little demonstration there to where you can get a couple years out of those straw bales. You know, they break down so quickly and you only get one season. But what we've tried there is just basically allowing that mulch that was created, we made that a growing medium, and we put more straw there and made it kind of a raised bed. And we actually grew some sweet potatoes in that this year. So that's a good take home point to some of those folks. You know, when you're paying $7 a bale for straw, they want to get as much out of it as they can. So that's a good way to actually get two years growth into a good 2 years usage. This was some of our plants last year. You can kind of see our sweet potatoes there into that straw mulch. We planted herbs into the ADA bed, and we had green beans and tomatoes in our other raised bed. And we're trying to add a few things. One thing last year, one of the volunteers had an earth box, and we put corn in it to kind of show the earth box there. So, you know, you can kind of see those kind of things sold. So it kind of gave a good demonstration of that. And then we had also some more straw bales there in the background of the corn that we did some straw bale gardening. We plan to kind of expand this as the years go on. Last year, we had on average about 72 hours of each volunteer donating to the garden. And actually, that goes over a little over $1,600 worth of value of volunteer time there in the garden. And we harvested, our big harvest was the sweet potatoes. We come up with 15 gallons of sweet potatoes out of that little patch, and just tons of cherry tomatoes that we had that we finally quit picking. We got so tired of that. The ladies got tired, I did too. And then herbs, green beans, carrots, etc. All that was harvested and then donated. Our plans this year is to expand and also do some outdoor classroom classes. Our numbers are normally smaller, so it's not like we're trying to reach the masses here, but do some outdoor classes on our raised beds. Maybe a seed starting class is what we've got planned here for a couple of weeks. Container gardening, and then also kids gardening. Once we get through COVID here, one of our main goals was to bring in 4-H kids and library kids and actually do a kids night in the garden. And so we have that planned for the future. We also, of course, have producer visits. I want to throw this up. I was hoping Anthony would be on here so I could tell him that we have greenhouse tomatoes in Polk County. But we have a lot of folks in the county, small groups. This is a producer that had a little CSA. And I just wanted to throw that picture of those tomato plants. They were about 10 foot tall there in that greenhouse and loaded. And then they do a no-till. I'm sure some of y'all have come across the no-till system there where they put the cardboard down in the compost. And we're thinking about maybe actually putting one of those little demonstrations out as well. I wanted to mention 4-H since I am a split position. We do ag in 4th grade. I have all my 4th graders doing the ag old Explorer book. I still use those old Explorer books. Had some good lessons in it of forestry, cattle, plants, and so forth. And I always throw that, that's the slide from the book up that shows the digestive system of the cow. And that's the favorite lesson of all the kids because they love how I explain to them how the cow throws up their food and chews it again. So my 4th graders really appreciate, getting some ag education as well. And then that pretty much wraps it up. So if anybody has any questions.
And Greg, I love your demonstrations. Those are always great, but especially during COVID, that's a super deal to have available to your public. And I'm glad you included some 4-H. So we may see some other topics that are outside of horticulture, and that's just fine. So appreciate that. Any questions? It looks like Greg Upchurch is ready to roll from Cumberland County. And Greg, we're seeing your slide where it has the next slide on the right. I don't know if you can hit that display settings and switch the screen. You know what I mean there? And you're muted, but we're looking forward to listening to you.
So is it still showing up the same?
It went away, so we're not seeing anything now.
What about now? Still the presenter mode?
No, we're not seeing your screen share. I think you may have to hit share screen again.
Okay, well. You would think as many as we do with these things that, what about now?
Okay, so we're seeing your PowerPoint.
Still probably in the presenter mode.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, all right, man, get these glitches out of the way. All right, I'm going to try to be real quick and brief. And just like a lot of people, probably COVID last year really put a damper on everything and really impacted us in terms of what we were doing here in the county. I know I probably use my mobile phone now in terms of reaching out with homeowners and consumers as much as anything. I want to take it a little bit of approach from a 20,000 foot view and then basically work down. And one of the things I've already heard this morning that I really like is the fact that there's a lot of collaboration already going on. And what I would really encourage young agents and even a lot of the older agents have been around a while is really networking in terms of the programming, even at the local level. And I've got a little bit of the top screen here of some of those work groups that I participate on, the consumer horticulture, fruit and vegetable, and master gardeners. And there is a ton of resources on those sites that can be easily applied to your county. And I don't know if you're using those at this moment or not, but there's a lot of information out there. And so a lot of what I've done is actually collaborative in a group setting that I'm applying to my county, but also that information is going out on a state level. The Master Gardeners program here in the county is probably one of the biggest things I work with. We have a tremendous amount of outreach with that program and in addressing consumer and homeowner needs. A couple of those things that I've worked with here in this county that's been applied in my county across the state is utilization of videos. Now, again, these are not just videos I've shot for myself and did individually. These are videos that I've worked with Dr. Bumgarner. Yesterday, I worked with John Gunner and Dr. Bumgarner shooting videos on planting apple trees. So we've used that video type system to reach a lot of master gardeners. And I'll partner with one of my others, Melody Rose, that'll talk a little bit about use of social media here, I think directly, and how we use that, addressing local needs as a team through our Outlook stuff. Other things, the home fruit and vegetable, like others, we've done some of the online programs to address home and fruit needs, a little bit different twist. You see the home fruit and vegetable calendar. I don't know how many of you utilize that. This is one that's not a free. We either have to print it down or you have to purchase that W436 publication. I annually purchase, 100 to 200 of those, distribute those out to our local farm supply store and garden centers. That's a really good outreach that gets people engaged with our program here in the county, gets them coming to our office or calling me on my mobile phone asking questions. To the right, you see a little slip here that our fruit and vegetable team has been working on. Melody's been very instrumental in this. These are going to be those book cards that basically that you can distribute to all those garden centers, farm supply stores, etc., that have a very short image shot of some of those correct things and things you need to be thinking about in terms of planting fruits and vegetables. And basically, it's kind of the carrot that hooks them in, gives them some very quick information, but also directs those back to your county. These will have little bullets on those that will have all your county information that you can utilize to publicize your programs in your county and get information other than social media and videos and things like that to the public. The smart yards, the 9 principles, those 9 principles for a healthy environment that a lot of you may be aware of. This is a off-the-shelf program that all the information is already there that you can utilize and apply in a home landscape setting. We've also designed this to where it is a self-taught, self-paced. And so I use that a lot of times. And not only do I do the classes personally for garden groups and communities, but I also encourage homeowners to look at that Smart Yards website and use that self-paced program to get certification. We've also got a lot of new publications that I'm really pushing through the office. Here's one that we just finished up, Plants for Tennessee Landscapes. It is an excellent, excellent program. We've got others in the work that will address screens, ground covers and such that we're really pushing to kind of do that outreach to the public. Using the Smart Yards to kind of taper it on down a little bit more specific, I'm working with 2 communities here in our county that the Fairfield Glade and Uplands community that I've done programs in community gardens that they have or work with homeowners association. We're actually trying to strive to get, the Uplands community would like to have 100% of their residents be Smart Yard certified. And so we're doing in-person teaching to address that, but we're also using the self-paced video that lets those people kind of look and get that information for themselves. And the last thing I'd mention, again, kind of on a grander scale that we hope that happens this year will be our Fall Gardeners Festival. We're well underway. Talked with Walt Hitch last night at the Research Center. We're just hoping that people get their vaccinations, COVID numbers continue to drop, and that we can have our annual Fall Gardeners Festival that is on-site demonstrations and education for people. Last year the year before that program, we were just a shade over 2,000 people in attendance in a one-day program. We've already canceled our spring flower, lawn, and garden show, which is a big hit for us because we use that. That's about 2,500, 3,000 people that come in attendance, and we use revenues from that to fund internships to work in our Discovery Garden at the UT Research Center here in Crossville. We have been able to still scrape money up to fund that program for youth. And actually this year, we've probably got the biggest list of candidates that's applied for our internship. And we're trying to raise money actually to fund 2 college students to participate in our garden internship program. And the last thing, we've got our, we're doing plant sales, and we're trying to do some education through those plant sales. And that'll all be a part of raising money for that college intern program. And that's all I've got. If there's any question.
Thanks, Greg. Any questions for Greg? Be sure to mark that down August 31 on your calendar. If you're in this session and you're into horticulture, that's the place to be. All right. Well, you did such a good job. No questions. Jack Price, you're up from Hawkins County if you're ready to start sharing. And Greg, I appreciated your comments about teamwork. So that's awesome. The more we can work together, I think the more effective and the more efficient we can be.
Are you seeing my screen?
Not yet.
How about now?
Don't have anything coming up yet, unless somebody else does. Should have. I
Is
think
that it?
there we go. We got it all set.
Okay. Not unlike many of the rest of the counties, we are involved with the Master Gardener program. Last year was very slow for us. We did not get to have a class. This year, we were able to enroll 4 interns into the virtual class that's being offered now. They're really excited and enjoying the format of that class. I have 25 active certified Master Gardeners working within our county, and they're working in 4 major project areas. And because of pictures on my other computer, and I got a new one, I didn't have the pictures to put on here from my new computer. So I'll just talk about those projects a little bit. We are doing some beautification projects on more of the historical sites within town, and the Master Gardeners have taken a lead on those. Another project area they're working on is at the old Presbyterian Church. They've partnered with the church and some of their members to do a raised bed vegetable garden. And the produce from that garden is going to of One Accord Ministries, which they do an outreach with seniors, and they go to the different assisted living facilities, and they'll distribute those vegetables out to those residents, and those folks really enjoy that. We do have one area in town, we call it the Pocket Garden. It was an area that part of a building burned, and they tore it down, and one of our Master Gardeners took the lead on that, and they actually built a garden area, and they also partnered with the city and got some grant funds to do that. So that was a good project for them. And then Price Public School Community Center, it was part of the old Swift College, which was a African-American college here in Rogersville. At the time of desegregation, that facility closed, and the school system absorbed that site. But they did build a really nice community center that's available for rent. Just so happens our Master Gardener group meets there on a fairly regular basis, and then they do the maintenance on the landscaping around that facility. Let's see if I can go to the next slide here. Well, yeah, here we go. Okay, learn, grow, eat, and go. I kind of like Greg Paxton. I'm involved with 4-H. So I had to throw this in. This is a really big program for us here in the office. We do a collaborative between myself and SNAP and FCS. We work with 2 schools primarily. We got over 400 kids involved. We've built raised beds at both sites and got great teacher buy-in. Everybody is really on board with the program. And then we use a multitude of other adult volunteers that come in and help. But if you are not taking advantage of the Learn, Grow, Eat, and Go program through the Junior Master Gardeners, you're really missing an opportunity. It's a great program. Clint Cummins helped us get started. We sort of did a pilot for that program 2 or 3 years ago, and it's just gone gangbusters. If it hadn't been for COVID, we'd probably had 3 more schools involved, and then I'd have probably had to brought in the National Guard to help to work it. So I don't know, it's just one of those things that it's really growing, and we really enjoy working with those kids and get a lot of good comments from the parents too. We'd be out in the community, and they're really appreciative of us teaching their kids how to grow their own food and the value of vegetables in their diets. Let's see. And this is going to be my last screen. You wanted it short and sweet, so we'll do that. We do have a community garden project. I do have 4-H Honor Club members that help with that, but also we use some community church members and retired teachers. And again, we do some education with this, with new people coming into the town and asking questions. We just use it as a site to educate. But again, we're able to take that produce. Sometimes we do go through one of accord with this, but most of the time we'll find church members that are needy, shut-ins, and we'll take those produce items to them. As far as backyard orchards, this is something I do as a little part of a class that I offer, and we'll go over all the aspects of what it takes to install a backyard orchard, and we'll do site selection and then the different types of tree varieties and then the management practices that are needed to be successful. Of course, I am borrowing a lot of information from Dr. Lockwood, to say the least, on that. He is such an asset, and really, I think all of us are very appreciative of all those specialists that we rely on so heavily. But I've learned a lot today. I've learned some things from the other members, and I will be in touch with you all and get some more ideas that might fit into our program here in Hawkins County. And don't be surprised if you get an email or a call from me over the next week or so. So networking, I like what Greg said about networking. It's not like we're trying to reinvent the wheel. We need to use what resources are out there. And I appreciate that work group with the Master Gardener work group. They're doing a mighty fine job, and got some good material there. And I appreciate the work they do. That's all I've got, Ty.
Sounds good, Jack. Any questions? Glad to hear about the success of the Learn, Eat, Grow, Eat, and Go program with Junior Master Gardeners. That's a big opportunity, I think, across a lot of counties, so that's good. So our next presenter is Jessica Smith from Roane County. Looks like your screen share is coming up. We may have lost it there.
I started sharing my
Jessica, we're not hearing you clearly at all. It's going in super slow motion on your audio.
for today. So let me adjust where I'm sitting and see if we can pick it up.
Sounds better now. Thank you. That's good.
Can you hear me a little better?
All
Okay.
clear.
All right, there we go.
Jessica, it's slowing down again. I'm sorry.
All right, so let's see, get some internet working a little bit better here at the house, and then I'll go. Does that work?
Okay, we'll come back to you.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. And if it would help you to share your screen on your computer and call in for the audio, you're welcome to get creative, whatever you need to do. And we'll come back to you at the end, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Thank you. All right, and man, Lee Rumble is ready. So let's get ready to rumble, right?
Okay. Absolutely, Ty. Okay. Hey, everyone. Great to be here, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee. So most of you probably know that I am a new agent here in Knox County. I came to, Extension with a solid plan and a pretty good business background. So I knew first and foremost, I wanted to get out in the public and just really form those, initial relationships. So networking with everybody that I could. Jumped on every opportunity there was. I visited local garden centers, nurseries, got out with Trees Knoxville. We did multiple live video shoots. I would join the Knoxville Tree Board, help promote Arbor Day here in Knoxville. In addition to that, of course, I trained our, Knox County Master Gardener interns last year. And we also had an opportunity to take, of course, the statewide Tennessee Master Gardener Friday Focus and Tuesday Topics. So that was wonderful to be, just outside of Knox County, but also statewide. Now, along with our grounds management short course, there was an opportunity for me to network with multiple faculty members in forestry, wildlife, and fisheries. And we have since developed Tree News You Can Use, which is a monthly publication that does go out statewide. And we're hoping to eventually turn this somehow into a fee-based program. Now, my first year, I also did over 175 site visits out in the community. Again, just really networking with people. So my first year was driven heavily by residential horticulture, but I'm a commercial horticulture specialist here, agent rather. So the biggest event I host is our grounds management short course. You may know of it. It's a 49th annual running event that's very large, brings in over 100 commercial landscapers, growers, and arborists from the community. And, I had about 60 days to plan this event when I came in. And this is about, 15 days prior to COVID hitting us. So, of course, we knew 2021 grounds management was going to look very different here in Knox County. Now, I was fortunate to work alongside Mr. Tom Stebbins. And Tom, I don't want to steal too much of your thunder here, but Tom reached out to me about an opportunity for he and I to kind of network together and create what we coined the Eastern Region Virtual Short Course. Now, many of you know that was approved for in-service credit through Super, and what we ultimately decided on was to have 4 events across the entire month of January, each event focused on a particular discipline, so turf grass, ornamentals, and arboriculture. And as we sit here on the other side of the Eastern Region Virtual Short Course and having read the reviews, I see that, number one, it really went off without a hitch. I was nervous that people were going to be calling in last minute. I'm missing the link. But, again, Tom and I stayed organized through this whole thing. And I think it showed many of the write-ups that people said, great job. We had done really good job organizing. And they knew the amount of work that it took to take this into a virtual format. Now, we kept the session short, about 3 hours apiece, because sitting behind a Zoom for an 8-hour day is hard enough in person. So doing it virtually was going to be even harder for a commercial group. Now, it meant a little bit more work on the TDA point side and, of course, the arborist points as well. So my second year, though, here, I kind of changed my plan up a little bit. I told Neil and I told Rylan that I was going to not step away from residential horticulture, but I wanted to focus on my commercial people. And that's what I've done this year. You know, in just a little over 2 months, I've been out to meet with 11 different commercial entities so far. I've got many more to go, but you know, I'm really just getting out, communicating with them, letting them know, number one, I'm here in the county, I'm here to help. I've already been able to do that with a couple of these individuals. And at the same time, I'm kind of conducting these needs assessment to find out how I can best serve their needs. But I'm still out in the community too. You know, I promoted, of course, UT Arbor Day this year alongside our new work group, the Residential and Consumer Horticulture Group. We went out and planted 275 saplings with UT students recently. And of course, I still give garden club talks. You know, I love these. These are usually men and women that are passionate about gardening. Everybody loves a tree guy, you know, everybody has a tree question. So when I get to these garden club talks, I often find that, you know, hands pop up left and right. And of course, you know, working underneath a celebrity like Mr. Neil Denton, it's hard not to get promoted on TV and radio. So, of course, the Phil Show, I've been on a couple Wednesday mornings, and we recently had an interview about cicadas because, you know, that's the topic for summer of 2021. Now, finally, I also have to bring up, you know, first and foremost, you know, I am no Greg Upchurch here, but I'm gonna be one day, Greg. So the reality here is in Knoxville, when I came in, I was shocked at how much of a need there was for fruit production and how many people really wanted to grow fruits. Now, I was fortunate to work with a couple underserved communities here, Beardsley Community Farms and Hope Central. And we really got out and gave fruit pruning demonstrations this last month. I have one more coming up here soon. So it's really a great way for me to get out and, of course, educate myself more, but also to promote proper practices in the landscape. And then finally, along with those professors with the forestry, wildlife and fisheries, I'm excited to say that I've been invited back again this year to actually act as a guest lecturer for practical arboriculture, a UT class that promotes urban forestry to students. We're excited. You know, last year there were 6 students involved. This year we've got 28 involved. And this is where we take students out in the community and teach about real life urban forestry practices. And with that, I want to say one final note. You know, I know this is about networking. You all remember you have an ISA certified arborist here in the Eastern region. I've already spoken with Melody, and I know she's on the call, and Ryan Brown, who's not on the call, but we've already talked about potential for me to come help with proper pruning and planting practices. And with that, I'll conclude and stop this share and take any questions.
Thanks, Lee. A lot of commercial horticulture there in Knox County. Neat to see all that's happening there. Any questions? All right. Well, Melody, looks like we're ready to roll. Thank you for jumping in there. Looks good.
Okay, I'm going to kind of do like Greg and kind of give you the bird's eye approach to start with, I guess, because he and I sit on all 4 of those work groups for consumer hort. So a lot of what I'm doing is in fact coming out of those work group sessions, because we're actually meeting every Wednesday. There's one of these meetings every Wednesday of the month. But one of the biggest takeaways, just to kind of mention, is as far as master gardeners, is the statewide intern training. You've heard other agents kind of talking about that, but this is our first year being able to do that, and it was working together from the work groups vantage point, kind of putting that together, because last summer we knew that we were going to have to do something to be able to offer intern training for this year. So we did a little pilot program last fall for the West. It worked out really well. So now we have about 150 master gardener interns statewide that we're training, and that enables some of the smaller counties, much like myself and Jack Price, to be able to have master gardeners go through that program. But the biggest takeaway is just building our team. We spend a lot of time talking about building culture within our leadership team before we attempt to export that down to the state and local level. And you can see there, we always are getting together once a year to run SWOT analysis and see what we can do better. It's always a learning process. One of the things that came out of our 2019 Yearly planning session was creating some type of leadership program for our volunteer leaders across the state. So we rolled this out last April. This was already planned before COVID hit. So we had these planned for our Friday focus sessions. You can see those listed there. Kind of run the analogy with planting the seed, water. You can kind of see how those are listed. But this was open to all of our Master Gardener volunteers across the state. And then in October, our plan was to bring in person, face-to-face, to have hands-on training and delve a little bit deeper into some of this leadership training for our leadership teams or executive boards, project chairs, those type people in October. Of course, we didn't get to hold that face-to-face, so we did an online learning session, and we kind of had to adapt, but you can kind of see what that looks like. This is available. Like Greg said, this is one of the tools that we utilize for all of our Master Gardener agent coordinators across the state. So this is available. Agents can adapt this and suit it for their needs. You can kind of see from this slide what we have. We have a Google site, a portal that all of this stuff is housed, so you can change it to be to your local group, however that fits, along with the PowerPoint presentations. We have an FAQ on that website as well, so volunteers can always access that and kind of know why we want to build the pipeline for future leaders within our local organizations, because we know that's where it starts to build a great state organization. Like Greg kind of mentioned or alluded to, another thing that came out of 2019 was that we knew we needed to kind of do some social media pushes. So at the local level, I was already utilizing Hootsuite for both UT Extension Greene County and the Big Spring Master Gardener Association. So what we did was decided to use this platform. We do focus on Facebook, but we also have Twitter and Instagram. But you can kind of see how those drafts are actually uploaded. I've already got some of those all the way into May. But this is the Tennessee Extension Master Gardener Facebook page. And what we try to do is every day of the week has a different topic. And so we have a post going out every single day. You can see Greg here. He's our star when it comes to videos. But another thing we try to do is focus on our people. Again, kind of the networking component. So each Saturday we highlight Master Gardener Agent Coordinator or members of the team. So you see Dr. Ludwig here. Because she does sit on our sustainable landscape team and is over the smart yard. And again, all of those resources are available to you. So if you've not been highlighted yet this year, don't worry, it's coming. So make sure you check us out every Saturday. And I have no idea where some of those pictures come from, so you can't always fuss at me for that. But make sure you stay tuned for Dr. David Lockwood's day. I'm not doing all this myself. You can see here from this tab, this is a shared Google Sheet, and we have the topics across the bottom. I guess this is the fruit section, but we all go in here and plug these in. So Evangeline, Greg, Seth, myself, Natalie, the whole team, we're going in there and plugging in these. And what we're going to start doing in April is sending this to all of you as ANR agents. So you can post this out as well. It won't be all topics. It'll be the fruit, veggie, turf, and ornamentals. So we've kind of been playing around with that as a work group team and have discovered that works well. So you'll be getting this information that you can utilize as well via social media. Filtering that down to the local level, my Master Gardeners, we have about 4 projects that we're really active in, and we just kind of try to create the cycle and keep those integrated. Soup kitchen produce is grown and put back into the soup kitchen. All the produce grown there feeds those citizens within that community. We have a lot of fruit research and veggie research, cover crop, pollinator projects in the queue for out here at the Research and Education Center. And then we have an African-American cemetery that's our beautification effort. And we work in tandem with the local General Morgan Inn and some of those things with the Tourist Association. And then of course the youth at the Boys and Girls Club. So they're able to move through that process, and we're getting back into the Boys and Girls Club next week. So we're pretty excited about that. When COVID hit, we didn't have anyone answering the phones within the extension office. So we knew we were going to encounter a problem as we were moving into the spring and summer months. So we created an Ask Us portal so the general public can go on and ask these questions. This is on our local Big Spring Master Gardener website page. But when they submit that question, it feeds into a shared Google Drive with our Ask Us team. There's 5 Master Gardeners and myself that are answering and responding to these. But every one of our Master Gardeners can see these questions, and this is how we kind of keep a tally of that so everybody's on the same page. Also last year, I had a few in-person classes slated, and when COVID hit, I moved those to a Zoom session. And it was one of those issues where we knew Master Gardeners were going to need CEU hours, service hours. We didn't know what that was going to look like. So this thing kind of morphed into something much larger than I ever anticipated. Through needs assessments and conducting evaluations, discovered that folks were really interested. So we had 29 Monday night classes last year on a wide range of topics. You can kind of see, well, you can't really see the topics listed there at the top, but we'll have up to 300 people in a Monday night class. Even got a person attending on a weekly basis from Niger. So it's kind of cool to be reaching folks from other countries as well. But we tap into about 12 states, several counties across the state, a lot of participants. We try to do some integration where folks can kind of get to know one another. It's been a great networking opportunity, great way for folks to continue their hours. So we've got something going every Monday in 2021 as well. And you can kind of see another website portal has been created for that. To segue with what Greg said from fruit and veggie, another one of the things that we're working on is novel fruit crops. We're going to be working on that component for 2022 to have for release. And speaking of publications, we've got several: grapes, apples, pears, caneberries, blueberries, grapes. All of those are written and they're in somewhere in process with review. So all of those are going to be coming to you soon and available for you to use in projects as well. Along with the Monday musings, I've also created a component on here for Master Gardeners to share videos from their own locations or on topics that interest them. So anything from marshmallow to nature's toilet paper. So there's just some fun little snippets there if you're interested in that kind of thing. They can register directly from this website. You can kind of see what that looks like there. All the topics are listed. If it's highlighted in blue, they click on that and they can directly register. The days that are not highlighted, they get an email with some kind of video attached or all the materials, and then all of those are housed on that website as well. One of the biggest tools for the local level is just communication. That's key, keeping connectivity and engagement high with your local group. So we have the calendar that we've created, and then making sure that we're just keeping those internal connections as well as our external connections, especially for some of our older volunteers, older clientele in the community. They're not always able to get out to project sites or attend some of these in-person classes. So it's just, it requires a little bit more effort, but just providing multiple opportunities to keep our folks engaged. That's kind of where it's at. And Lee kind of mentioned about our Friday focus, and this year we have the third Thursday, I think. So we're shooting those live and kind of from different locations across the state, but we're also partnering with other states as well. So you heard Evangeline mention Tia a little while ago. So we had her on one of our state Friday focus. And then in May, we're actually going to Berea, Kentucky. We're going to have Dr. Bill Best on with us from the Sustainable Mountain Ag, talking about heirloom beans. So lots of opportunities to get involved. Take advantage of those Google Drives where all those resources are. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We can get you connected to some of those resources. That's all I've got.
Thanks, Melody. That sounds great. Man, that Master Gardener Committee has been mentioned before, but so many great resources y'all have made available. And I don't know if everybody picked up on that ask a question option that Melody has set up through the Greene County Extension webpage, but that sounds really good. A lot of folks, I'm sure, like to just submit something, and it's something you can get back with them instead of having to be on a phone call and play phone tag when you leave a message and all of that. So my only question is, what did you say about marshmallows?
It's a plant, marshmallow.
Oh, okay.
But she does go in and, describe it, align it with the confection that we know today. So
sounds good. And if you haven't checked out her Monday musings, you can get to that list on the Greene County Extension page also. And it's something that if you're into horticulture, you ought to check out what she's got going on. You may want to join some of those sessions. It's really neat. Thanks, Melody.
Hey, Ty,
any questions?
I'd like to make one comment, Ty, and that's regarding that Master Gardener program. I know a lot of times agents are scared to get involved with the Master Gardeners because they feel that the workload, it really increases workload. But actually, you've got to remember the concept of the Master Gardener program is to train those volunteers to extend your outwork. If you're working solely to maintain the program, then you're looking at it all wrong. And so those Master Gardener programs, the way Melody's got that set up, you know, when we engage those Master Gardeners and we allow them to teach and broaden our programs, they are a great source of information out there to the public, and we can really disseminate a lot of stuff. So check out all those work group websites. I put a note down there. It's information by for agents, by agents.
Olivia, if you want to go ahead and share your screen, we've got time for another question if we have one. All right, well, thank you, Melody. Just like to introduce Olivia Howard. She's an extension agent in training in Knox County, and she was also a intern this past summer, so she's going to share a little bit with us.
Yeah, so like Ty said, I'm an agent in training, so I don't quite have any programs under my belt just yet, so I'm going to tell you just a little bit about my time with Extension so far. So I attended UT for animal science and food and agricultural business. And as my college career was coming to an end, like most people, I had to do an internship, which I had the pleasure of doing with the Knox County Extension Office under the supervision of Neil Denton. After that, I graduated in December, and now I'm here as an agent in training in the same office with Lee, so that's great, working in 4-H and ANR. So first, it was really nice to get out and, you know, visit a lot of the producers out in Knox County. I think a lot of times we think of it being as a pretty urban county. So even me being here since 4th grade, I was shocked to see how much agriculture we actually do have around here. Also do a lot of great work with residential gardens, landscapes, some lawn and pasture establishment. It's really great to be able to meet some of the county residents and just know the people that I'm serving here in Extension. Every once in a while, I do have the pleasure of watching Lee climb some trees. No, but really, I do learn a lot of great things about proper tree care and planting with him. I get to tag along with some demonstrations, see some neat things like the galls there and the black knot, and I've learned a lot of great things under him. And also, of course, I am doing some work with 4-H clubs. It's been really great to actually get back to face to face and see some people, some of the kids, get to do some activities with them. I'm also serving as our Master Gardener Coordinator for the time being while Ryland Thompson is deployed. We have a really great intern class right now. We have 37 interns going through our training class. Really almost consider it 38 because I've been overwatching that. I feel like I'm kind of taking it too, and I've got to learn a lot of great information too. We have, you know, over 100 certified Master Gardeners over the county. We have 10 garden projects and then 2 outreach projects too with our Ask a Master Gardener program and then our Speakers Bureau. I've been fortunate to work with one of our 10-step agents, Elizabeth, teaching this Learn, Grow, Eat, and Go curriculum in some of our elementary schools. Unfortunately, it has been in an online format, which we made possible by providing kits that we send home with the kids during school. But we are getting the clear to come back into school. So I'm excited to get in there and, you know, actually get my hands dirty and work with them. And then lastly, I have been able to sit on some great committee meetings, the Ag Committee, the Agribusiness Committee, Farm Bureau meetings, and it's been really great to just learn how we all work together and also meet other people in the ag community. And I kept that short and sweet for you, so that's really all. I've enjoyed my time here a lot, and I'm excited to see what my future holds in Extension.
Thank you, Olivia. Looks like you're getting some great experiences out there, and those were awesome photos you had. I was very impressed with your photos.
Oh, thanks. Well, unfortunately, I don't have any current ones, as many as I did from the summer, so hopefully I'll get some of Club here soon.
Okay. Sounds good. Any questions for Olivia before we jump on Sean Tormolen's presentation? And Sean, we're seeing your preview slide with the main slide. You may be able to click that display and swap screens and get it just right. There you go. All set. Sean Termolin, he's our new ANR agent in Scott County.
Hi, thanks for the introduction. I said I'm Sean Termolin, and so I started here in Scott County January 1st. I'm a split agent, ANR, and a 4-H. And so here's just a picture of when not working, I'd like to go out with my wife and dog and explore the surrounding areas. And so this is one of the waterfalls that we got to hit after all the rainstorms. Let's see if I can, there we go. And so a little bit of my background. And so I have my bachelor's in entomology and from Purdue University. And so during that, I got a general overview of entomology, but then also had a lot of opportunities to work with Purdue's extension program. And so that's where I had opportunities to go out and have insect petting zoos, talk about beekeeping, insects as food, and get with the public. And then moving on to my master's, I have it in agriculture safety. And so it's a nice little jump, which some people are like, how'd that happen? But it was one where, you know, life's mystery, you kind of fall into programs and it worked out wonderfully. But with that, I looked at older farmers, at fatalities that were occurring in Indiana, and then narrowed it into woodcutting incidents. And so, and through that, had opportunities to go out training to trainings over in Illinois with chainsaw safety and give some presentations and publish some papers. And so I also have experience with working with the USDA APHIS. And so I worked during my bachelor's there with an insect identifier who looked at samples from all over the United States, but mainly the eastern, northeastern areas, looking for invasive pests. A lot of it was focused towards forest pests such as emerald ash and whoa, sorry, just brain fart there. But a lot of invasive pests that came in, and so that's one where I helped pre-sort and help with that. And then with interests, I love to have gardens, as you can see in the pictures there. That's some of the paths where I love to grow stuff. Not as much preserving, that's one that I need to work better on. And so that's trying to make sure I like to have a large harvest, but then I'm like, what do I do with it? And so I've got better with that. I have been raising bees for a while now. And actually just after moving here, I have some nukes ordered. And so I'm excited to get back into that and learn about the differences between Indiana, where I came from. And then also dendrology. And so that's one where I took a lot of forestry classes during my university time. And so it's one where I am enjoying to come here and see what new tree species I can find and learn how to identify them to help with homeowners in the area. And so jumping into some of the plans that I've had, I was really lucky where there are already some great programs that I got to inherit. And so one of them was the farmer's market. So after last year with COVID, the market wasn't able to open here in Scott County. And so that kind of hit the market hard financially. And so that's one where excited to come in and actually just had a public meeting just about a week ago, working with the board to try and figure out when it's opening, getting increase of vendors, and a lot of the planning aspects. And so we're jumping in 2 feet, the whole office is, and so I'm spearheading it, but the whole office is helping out. And so we're excited. Come June, we're going to have a farmer's market open up and get to work with that. Also, there's a good master gardener group here, and I'm excited where I just was talking with a lot of the members, and in April, we're going to have our first meeting. And so with COVID, meetings kind of stopped, and there wasn't a lot of interest with virtual meetings over this time. So there's kind of been a little bit of a hiatus where people worked on their own, but excited to jump into this and get some experience. That's one where I was a master gardener up in Indiana. So I came from that side. Now I'm excited to be from the extension side to be more of the working with them. And so we have some programs coming up with the Tennessee Tree Day. I guess actually a week from now, we're going to be distributing trees in the area. And then also during this picture, you may not know what that is, but we're having our first annual seed bank. And so in Scott County, there's a lot of people who may not have the resources to plant gardens, but they'd like to. And so the master gardeners were able to get some donations of seeds, and we're actually going to be distributing cool season crops, lettuce, carrots, and so on. And so for for about a 4-hour period, or if supplies don't last that long, we're going to be giving out seed packets to the community. And we also have coming up in April, I believe on the 9th, we'll be giving out warm season crops. And so that's one where there's a lot of interest there already. Just posted some stuff on social media and already have, I think, about got out to about 1,000 people. And so for a small county, we're very excited to have that. But then also not only programs I'm heading, but there's some great partnerships. And so I apologize for the lighting of this picture. It's one where I'm horrible about taking pictures of myself during programs. And so this is, luckily we were recording it, so I just took a still from the program. But have a partnership with Grow Appalachia in the area, which is a program that works with low-income families to help promote how to garden, use your garden's produce to improve your nutrition, and then also entrepreneurial skills to help either give food to other people who need it or sell some on the side. And so this was the first meeting of the year. There's going to be about 8 meetings throughout 2021, going through just all the steps of how to garden. And then also this program is through Scott County Christian Care. And so they are able to have some grants where they supply seeds, some other resources for these families. And so that's one where myself, then also the ANR agent up in McCreary County, Kentucky, partners with them to help talk about different topics regarding the gardening. And then, as I said, I was a split agent, and so excited to have 12 4-Hers involved in the chick chain program. And so working with the full-time 4-H agent Jennifer, then also Amber, who is a split, and she's our county director. But we are having the chick chain, and so we're also excited to have poultry club meetings tied with that, because we figured that instead of just throwing chickens at some youth and being like, all right, here you go, take care of live animals, we should probably go ahead and help connect the information so they know what they're doing. And so we'll have different programs going on throughout the year. Just kind of, okay, here's the chicks, you need to make sure they're warm, have the right, housing, and then go on to the end where we'll talk about how to show the chickens and get ready for the fair. But those are some where, luckily, as I said, had some great programs already there. I'm really enjoying all of these presentations because I'm sure, as everyone knows, as you get in here, it's just a wide world. And so seeing some directions that people went is very helpful. But that's all I got. If there's any questions, feel free to ask.
Any questions for Sean while we get Seth's presentation set up for our next one? Well, Sean, I'm excited to have another Boilermaker in the Eastern region. So we're glad to have you on board. And I have a feeling if you have a bunch of extra produce, Amber will help you find some ways to can it and probably procure some of that for her food preservation classes, I bet. So
definitely, that's one where I have some cabbage starts where I just started seeds this first time. So I have way too many cabbage starts already. So I'm sure, yeah, there'll be a good partnership there.
Sounds good. All right. Well, it just by coincidence, somebody that's pretty familiar with Scott County is coming up next, and that's Seth Whitehouse in Anderson County. Seth, you ready to go?
Yes, sir. That's right. So I started in Anderson County in June of last year, and glad to be here. And just got a cool little picture here looking off into the Dutch Valley area, and pretty cool, diverse operations from Christmas tree farms to awesome partnerships with larger growers as well here situated in Anderson County. And I know Lee kind of references too is really important to make connections and relationships and partnerships with folks in the county. And first thing I did coming into Anderson County was try to establish those. And one of the ones that really opened up pretty well for a good opportunity was Mountain Meadows Farm, which has a very large operation situated on the eastern side of the county. And they do a great job at supplying a lot of our farmers markets in the county as well. And actually came to good timing on this as well. We actually needed a site to locate one of our brown marmorated stink bug pheromone sampling traps, which was a nationwide project organized by Dr. Wagenbach at NC State and Dave Crowder out of Washington State. Frank Hale and a few other the entomologist specialists we have with UT were able to locate certain sites around Tennessee and validate this model here shown on the bottom and see what kind of invasions we have in our actual fruit locations, not just necessarily urban environments. So we found over 100 just within a 2-week time span with these pheromone traps. So very interesting data that we were able to pull. This helped me establish a great relationship with Mountain Meadows Farm. I'm on speed dial with their family out there most of the times, and they've offered us after COVID, we can have an on-site fruit program location there where they have apples, pears, blackberries, blueberries, any fruit, you name it, they most likely have it. And so I think it'd be a great facility, potentially having a fruit program out there. So hopefully that'll be down on the track as well. Let's see here. Farmers markets, we of course have the one situated in Oak Ridge with also a Winters Farmers Market. I've been working with the president there, Kathy Chippendale and Kathy Mazzalo, with actually getting one established in Clinton. So we would then have 3 potential markets for our producers to sell at, one in Oak Ridge, Clinton, and then Norris as well. So we have awesome incentives for this first one. If anyone has nearby growers that would like to sell during these time slots on Friday 3 to 6, please reach out to me. They do have incentives for getting those first few vendors as well, with 0 commission charges and sign up fees as well. So great initiative just to get this market started from the ground too. So please reach out to me if you know anyone interested in this, and we can get them in contact too. Let's see here. And so with me working with the farmers markets and the president of this farm association here, I kind of stole this idea from Neil Denton a while back too. But he had been actually doing a different educational workshop focuses, and one of the ones he had that I really like was he did a blueberry demonstration out at the farmers market. So we were able to order the container pots for and bare roots for the blueberries, and see if we can do an educational program when these start dates in Oak Ridge come up in April too. So a great captive audience with the educational program there if things work out. Of course, we've mentioned Master Gardeners many times through here, so I don't want to beat that too much. But I do want to show that we have a plethora of resources in our county to not only provide tours, but also workshop potentials. And so this first year, we actually got 10 interns. And like Greg said, this is an investment for future programs to have that volunteer core group network to actually provide more resources in the future too. So this is just a list for our spring workshops that we have had. Took this picture yesterday. We had a great pruning workshop and at the Environmental Learning Center, which is over at the Manhattan Project Children's Museum if you're able out in the Oak Ridge area. I've been working with Dr. Kevin Hoyt, partnership with UT Arboretum. He welcomed me for our next year's intern training class to be held at the UT Arboretum, which would be a fantastic site location. So great resources here available, and also getting a tour at some of our herb farms and Tennessee Naturescapes. If you need to recommend anyone for native trees, that nursery does it right. So we'll have an awesome tour out over there too. Getting different projects situated is currently my main goal right now for different areas in Anderson County, from Oak Ridge all the way to Norris and up to Rocky Top. So we'll be getting a few raised beds put in at the Green McAdoo Cultural Center here just in the next few weeks. Of course, we have our one of our main projects is at the St. Mary's. You can actually see this right on the Oak Ridge Turnpike, so it's a great visual for a lot of our folks too. So just some things in the pipeline here as we're getting our core group of Master Gardeners situated too. Of course, Tennessee Tree Day is next week. We'll have our volunteers for the Master Gardeners getting their feet wet, giving an educational, showing them how to plant these trees and giving them some resources afterwards too. We'll be doing this at the Museum of Appalachia. And so that's a great partnership I've been working with as well. My predecessor, Mr. Joe Hall, who was in the county for a very long time, it works with the museum quite often, and we were able to potentially get some projects there as well, and good start with the Tennessee Tree Day there. So of course, been working with our Beekeepers Association, got a field day coming up April 10th, and it's always good to be working with your local associations. And here in Anderson County, we work on getting timely monthly topics and speakers set up. So I've gotten Dr. Saruta to come out for one of our talks coming up soon. She's very helpful with these kind of local associations as well. And I know Lee had mentioned, garden clubs and everything. I was pretty tickled to find that we have the Emory Valley Garden Club. And so another way to potentially reach out to more clientele and make that partnership as well. So for agents too, I don't think this has been promoted yet. So you guys can get the inside scoop. April 17th will be the Tennessee Healthy Hardwoods Festival at the UT Arboretum. So we're lucky to have that in Oak Ridge. It did get moved from March. They pushed it back because they're working on some construction out there right now. So, but yeah, so sorry, took a little bit right there, but that's all I got.
Thanks, Seth. A lot of good activities happening there in Anderson County. So sounds really good. Any questions for Seth? All right. Well, Lee posted something about tree walks in the chat. I'm kind of interested in that. Lee, you might have to invite me out sometime. Sounds good. So our next speaker is Tom Stebbins from Hamilton County. And Tom has been mentioned a few times here. He's been partnered up with some of our newer ANR agents. And Tom, I've talked to them a little bit, and they said they think that they've learned a few new tricks from you, and you may have learned a few new tricks from them.
Can you see that or not?
We're not seeing it yet.
Yeah, okay. I had it all ready to go and I don't see it on my screen. I got too many. Well, maybe it's hidden down here somewhere. Oh dear. Well, I got a half hour to get it up there, right? So
we got to get a little time for Jessica. She's going to finish this up, and then I've got a couple slides. So maybe save us a little bit of time.
I thought I had it there, but where the heck is it? Okay, hang on. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody.
Tom, while you're looking for that, I feel your pain.
Yeah, I understand.
Those multiple screens can be a bear.
Yeah, it should be there. Let's see. There it is. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it now.
I'll pump it up. All right.
Looks
okay, good deal. Okay, Lee Rumble already mentioned our virtual short course, and that was a very well attended. There was 123 attendees. I don't know if you mentioned, but we did capture impact through Zoom polls. You know, we learned a lot through while we were doing it, and we recorded all those sessions for the attendees that were there. So that worked out good. And we used UT registration to capture the gender, race, and ethnicity, which was kind of cool. Evangeline mentioned our lunch and learn. We've been doing that. I think we've done something like 20 sessions already. And you can see the one in the middle we just got done there. That was one of my master gardeners. You can see our little studio that we created down in our kitchen. When you hone in, you don't see anything but our fake brick wall, but I just thought I'd stand back and show you what goes into a little mini studio. And we've learned quite a bit on how to do that. Our average attendance is, like Evangeline said, is pumped up to about 50 or 60. And again, we do our Zoom registration and capture that, and Zoom polls, and we record all the sessions to Facebook and also, or YouTube and Facebook Live. So, and we haven't been shy, Evangeline and neither one of us have been shy about recruiting some really good speakers. You know, you can see Dr. Wyndham up there, and Celeste certainly did a great job. This is the thing that I jumped into really quick. Master Gardener, of course, we had to finish up 2020's class. I think we finished up 5 classes, and then I had to make a decision. I decided that I wasn't going to wait for the virtual one that Natalie was planning for the spring. So I decided to jump in and do one in October, which turned out to be a good thing, because I don't think I drained our garden knowledge swamp in Chattanooga. I had 55 students from October and finished in January, and then we started another one in February, and we're going strong with 60 students. So that's, you know, everything is basically doubled in Chattanooga with all this. And you can see these ads were run, quarter page ads were run in the Chattanooga Times Free Press. Very lucky to have some very talented master gardeners. This lady who put this in, well, the person who created it was he does albums for Nashville artists, and the lady who put it in was a New York publicist. So, you know, we just have, I guess I'm really lucky to have people like that in my county. I take advantage, and they certainly aren't shy about helping out. Our beekeepers too were at first kind of worried about doing anything. We had just started some really great meetings out at Chester Frost Park, which is a nice park here. We got a bee yard out there, but then they had to shut down. But they found out that I had a Zoom license that could do as many as 300. And so we got together and we decided that maybe we should open it up to 4 bee clubs. And so that's what we've been doing since May. Just about every month they schedule someone, and some of these folks, some of these people that they've got to Zoom in have been basically world-class speakers. And one in particular, Michael Palmer, just went off the scale. We weren't expecting it, and it zoomed over 300, and we got, I guess, another 200 or 300 on Facebook Live. Fortunately, we were doing that. So, but generally we get about 100 folks zooming in on that. So it's been pretty good. Then we've always done this 26th annual beginner newcomer class. That's been going on for 26 years. One master gardener has been doing that. And this year again, well, we finished up last year too with the last one. We didn't know if we should do it again, but we did. We made 50 notebooks, and then people started calling in and said, I don't care about a notebook, just let me get on the Zoom. And so you can see we had about 22 more students, including my daughter from Nashville, who found it online, and she's taken the class as well. So again, we can capture impact, we can capture its registration. So we worked with that. I've learned how to do that pretty well. We also have been doing third Saturday classes probably for the last 7 or 8 years. And this is a group that, you know, classes held. And we averaged 40 to 80 online, which is pretty cool. The one that's going to be featured here in March is a woman who's from Pakistan and a master gardener who's been, you know, I'll be curious how we pulled off, but she's coming to the Ag Center. We'll do it with our little studio, and she'll be talking about African violets. So we haven't really skipped a beat on that. We're also going to get involved with the tree day. I've been doing this for the last 5 or 6 years, and you can see the volunteers will do it outside. This is last year's group that put everything in buckets and then label every tree, so it makes it easier on everybody who shows up. And so, and we're a hub this year. We're not just, and I thought I was going to be a hub for us and 2 others that I know of, but I found out yesterday that we're going to be a hub for 11 other groups. So we got to get ready for all these people that are going to show up. we're getting involved with March Marketing Month. We're real big on this. It's proud that our county won the first one, and Ty and the whole group took us out to a fancy lunch and everything. So we're pouring it on again to try to. We probably aren't going to be in the mix, but whatever. But one thing we do for March marketing, besides all the talks and things we do on TV, this is a 500 seed packs. We made our special seed pack that we can give out to people. I think we've got one for vegetables as well. And to the left there is our Master Gardener demonstration garden that we put in, gosh, that's been over close to 15 years. One of my first projects that I worked on. You can see a new fence that just went around to keep all the groundhogs out. But that's been a real bonus to our Master Gardeners, and trying to fill up volunteer activities for all those Master Gardeners is a challenge, but we can, they've been real good about coming down and helping at the food bank demonstration garden. And that's right across the road from the food bank itself. So we can walk it across and do it that way. So it's been a real plus for us. This is what it's all about. I mean, our volunteers, I just couldn't do it as well, or even partly without all these volunteers. They're the second largest group. I didn't realize that until Natalie had a database I could go look and see just how do we compare with our hours and all that. And I found out we're not going to beat Shelby County anytime soon, but we do a pretty good job of competing and trying to just have, there's about 260 Master Gardeners, probably a few more now with our big classes. And some of the words I just tried to give to those folks, they're very diverse. You can see on the mix here of the Zoom meeting, we had 76, which is typical for a monthly meeting. You can see babies bounced on the knees of some younger folks. I noticed in one of my classes, there was a lady who was on her treadmill. And so, the virtual isn't all bad. I think we're really wishing we could get back to our in person, there's no doubt, but I think we're really making the most of virtual. They're multi-generational, talented, caring, dedicated, inspirational, passionate, and fun-loving. So I really appreciate giving everyone a view of Chattanooga. Thank you, Ty.
Wow, Tom, you all have really embraced the virtual opportunities there, and that's great to see. I can say from personal experience, you got some of the most talented Master Gardeners I've ever come across. So you just keep tapping into all of them, and great things are happening. Thank you, Tom. Any questions? All right, very good. Well, it looks like Jessica is ready to roll now with Roane County, and we're not hearing you yet.
Yes,
Go ahead. There
can you hear me better now?
We can hear you, and we can see your slide. Go right ahead.
All right, good deal. So like some others, I'm going to keep this pretty short and sweet, and I hate to follow Tom because he has a wonderful Master Gardener program, and we hope to achieve some of his greatness one day. But our program does a lot of great things, and I'll talk a little bit about them last. The first program I want to talk about is one that came because of COVID last year. And when we all went home, we were trying to figure out things we could do and still could do. We each in our office took a day, and Monday was my day to do interaction on Facebook. So we started doing every Monday a live video.
Jessica, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We lost your slide, but if we don't get it back, it's okay. We want to hear what you're going to talk about, even if we can't see the pictures, but I just wanted you to know that.
Okay. All right. I'll try to share it again and see if we can get it back up. But the Monday lives became through COVID last year. I apologize, everybody. All right, are we back up?
You're back. Thank you. All set.
Okay. All right, so we adapted them to this year that we're going to do them the fourth Monday at 6 o'clock every month. and they'll alternate between a true traditional ag, livestock, and forage topic to a horticultural topic. Alternate back and forth every other month, and those were well received last year. We had several videos hit over 1,000 views, so we were pretty excited about it. And then every Lisa, our FCS agent, does a day, and then Anna does a day for 4-H on Fridays. So a way to keep engaging and share information. So we're pretty excited about those. And then this, a lot of the other agents have talked about the wonderful things that come out of the residential horticulture work group, and this is one of those series. We use the home garden series. Typically it's taught by master gardeners. Last year we pulled it out and ended up doing it a webinar due to COVID, and it went over really well. And I ended up teaching most of those just because a lot of our master gardeners weren't accustomed to Zoom quite yet, but we're getting them there. One thing that came out of it, we're trying a little different this year with several, we did it only via Zoom last year, and several said, you know, they weren't very comfortable with Zoom, but if we could stream it on Facebook, they'd like it. So we've gonna do it both ways this year, and that way those videos are recorded and there they can go back and use for future reference. And then the Master Gardeners of Roane County, we have about 30 volunteers. We have 6 interns now doing the interactive training, and it's a group of volunteers that would have never gotten to be master gardeners until they retired, is the way they've put it. So they're all excited to be able to take an interactive class that works with their schedule this year. So we've gotten a lot of great feedback from it. Our master gardeners do a lot of great projects, one of which is the gardens at Roane County Park. That was featured in one of the Focus Friday videos last year with Dr. Bumgarner. And the work they do, they have, I believe, 12 demonstration gardens there that we can go through and use, from herbs to natives, shade gardens, and the latest, they're adding in a marshy, wet area garden. And then another one it's a big program we are very proud of is our Lunch and Learn series. Pre-COVID, they met the first Saturday of every month at the office. People could bring in their lunch and sit and visit and get an hour free session of education of anything from bluebird houses to roses, just a variety of different things, even garden tool maintenance, of what was just a good hot topic for that time period. And we hope to get those started back up this coming May, to be able to offer those to the public again. Our master gardeners are a wonderful group of people, and they've consistently been recognized for their work. For the 3rd time in the last 6 years, our county commission has passed a resolution in their honor for their hard work, specifically for the Roane County gardens this year. And then several of our gardeners have done exactly what we like them to do, is take the education that we help them learn and move it forward, and have been recognized by other organizations for their hard work. We had one recognized by Senator Yeager this year for their hard work, as well as inducted into the Hall of Fame for one of the healthcare companies in the area for the work that they do for a garden there with one of their facilities. So it always does this agent good to see them going out and using what we teach them to do good in our society. So with that, I'll wrap up, take any questions. And I apologize for all the technical difficulties.
Oh, we're glad you worked through those technical difficulties with us. That was not something that was under your control with that internet issue. So any questions for Jessica? All right. Well, so I've just been blown away with all of your presentations. We had Rob Holland on for quite a while. I think he just had to sign off, but we've got David Perrin with us too. I don't know if he wants to say anything, but you're welcome to if you'd like to. All right. But super job, everybody. I think we just have great programs going on all over the Eastern region, and these were some great examples right here. So thank you for what you do. I've got a few slides to share with you, and so I'm going to share my slide here, and we won't take too long, and we'll get you loose and It'll be about lunchtime here. Are you seeing my screen all right? Okay, good deal. So this may not be exactly the right group, but some of you will be interested in this. We've got the Blunt Monroe Loudon Hay and Pasture Weed Tour coming up on May 26th. And we're going to set that up as an agent in service, but it's primarily for producers. And so if you would like to share that, you're welcome to. And I think it all comes down to Neil Rhodes, our weed specialist, is retiring at the end of June, and he wants to go out with a bang. So he's going to offer free, or he's going to offer to cover all agent mileage if you want to attend that session. And I went last year, and it's a really good program. You carpool in your own vehicle, and we have a big convoy from one farm to another, and it all works pretty well. But more information will be coming out about that real soon, but I thought you might like to mark that on your calendar. One thing Dr. Rhodes told me is that he's going to retire, but he's not changing his cell phone or email. So if you need something after June 30th, you'll know how to get a hold of him. If you really need him. Probably don't bother him every week with something, but when you need him, he wants to support you, and he knows that it's an important program. He wants to keep it going, at least until we can get a replacement for him there at UT. So this may be of interest. The organic production in service was just announced about a week or so ago by an email from Dr. Annette Waslacki, and that's on March 24 and 25 in the afternoons online. So I just wanted you to have that information. And then we have this new document that's out, guidance for handling on-site observation reports. I just wanted to make sure that you had gotten to take a look at that. I think it's something that agents have asked for, and we had agents involved in creating that. So I hope it will be useful for you. That first page, it provides a lot of guidance for farm or home visits that might just result in some kind of a lawsuit or some kind of legal proceedings. And so those can be all kinds of different things. And sometimes you get an idea that may be where something's headed when you get that first phone call to come out for a farm visit. And then the second page is where we can record some observations. We'll dig into that just a little bit more. I won't cover all this because we're a little short on time, but we just want to approach these things carefully. And I'd be glad for you to reach out to me and have a conversation anytime when you get into something that looks like it's going to be a little bit of a sticky situation. But we want to be able to serve our producers. And so we're not necessarily wanting to avoid those situations, but we want to be a research-based resource in those situations. And so we can make observations, we can take photographs. I know we're all using our cell phones for photographs these days, but just realize that in those situations, your cell phone could be subpoenaed and you may have to hand it over. And so sometimes it's nice to have a real digital camera to take some of those pictures and things. And then a big thing that comes out of this is we want to provide some information back on a timely basis. We don't want to wait weeks until they ask, oh, hey, can you write up all those observations you made? In a situation like this, we want to provide that within a week or hopefully a few days. And that on-site observation report gives you a way to maybe do some of that. So when we think about something that could result in a lawsuit, there are different types of situations, and we try not to get involved in those, but sometimes it becomes unavoidable. So we're not going to look for an opportunity to do that, but when it comes to us and it's a situation that we're subpoenaed, then we would follow through. And so the first step, I think, if that happens, is you'd want to have contact with the region office, myself or David Perrin, to make us aware of that, and we'll get you connected to UT Legal and resources to help you find your way through that process. But let's see here. UT employees are only allowed to serve as a witness in a legal case when we are actually subpoenaed. So that's one thing that's helpful for you to know. And we cannot receive compensation as a witness by either side of a case. And then it goes on there, an expert witness is called by one side of a legal case. And then a fact witness is someone who just testifies in regard to the facts. And all this verbiage is on that document, so you've got a copy of that. I just wanted to point out some highlights. And here we have the on-site observation report. And this is something that I really feel like might be handy to have some hard copies in your vehicle, on a clipboard or in your folder or something like that. And you may find a use for this in many different situations. And you may not look at that first page very often, maybe once a year when you get into a situation. But this second page looks pretty darn useful as an agent when you're going out and making farm visits and that kind of stuff. So take a look, see if that might be something you can use. For me, it just takes me through a lot of things to consider that I might overlook something. And if you kind of go check by check through that list, you're going to have most of those bases covered. And if you need to submit something to distance diagnostics, you're going to have some great information. But it's just a very useful form. It is something you can fill out online as well. It's like a fillable PDF kind of deal. So it may be handy if you want to do that on the computer as well. We do want to invite you to our next two ANR agent Zoom sessions for the Eastern region. We've got forestry, fisheries, natural resources, and commercial fruits and vegetables on March 26th at 3 o'clock Eastern. And then forages and row crops on March 31st at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And you don't need to come with a presentation or anything like that, but if you just want to come and listen to programs and see what other agents are doing, we'd love to have a good crowd there to see what's happening. And I just sent this email out this morning, brand new information about Tennessee Department of Agriculture's new Agricultural Enterprise Fund cost share program. And so this is awarding grants to starting or expanding businesses in Tennessee and kind of focused on some of those distressed counties. So see if that's something that you could share with folks in your county, producers, and the general public probably as well. Now, applications are due April 1, so that doesn't give much time, and there are some requirements that go with that application. So be aware of that and get that out sooner than later if you're able. And that email did come out from me this morning with a press release, and that's all the information that I have myself at this time. I did want to share that the Southeast Tennessee Beef Summit is set for June 4th at McMinn County Expo Center. They did receive an exemption to have over 50 people there. So if that's of interest, mark that on your calendar. And let's just take a minute. And are there some other announcements, comments, discussion, questions, or anything anybody wants to throw out in our last 3 minutes together? All right, well, just appreciate all of you sharing. I think it's been a fantastic session, and I could not be more excited than I am right now to see what's happening across our county. So thank you for everything you do, and just the fact that you've adapted so well with your programs and you're still running full speed ahead during COVID and, you know, just making an impact and, you know, supporting producers and gardeners and homeowners and everybody across our counties. Thank you for what you do, and appreciate you I appreciate you sharing today and taking the time and effort to do that. So if y'all need anything, let me know, and we'll sign off. Thank you.